Welcome to the Dark Night podcast with tap dance artist Andrew Nemmer and pastor Mike Freeman, exploring St. John of the Cross's seminal work, The Dark Night of the Soul. Listen to their conversations as Andrew spiritually prepares for his groundbreaking 12-hour overnight performance, Dark Night.
They were not three immense chapters by any means. But,
No, but I mean, gosh, I think we've talked about this before, how it's kind of like a cyclical...
Yes. Yeah, Blessing in particular, yeah. That it's not exactly a linear movement. It's
No.
It's repeating through the same ground, which is which is what I find with good authors. I mean, you read one of Willard's books, and
yeah.
I mean, within that book, you're going to get the same themes,
right? Sure,
but over the course of his work, it's all just a re-exploration. It's development of the theme. Same thing with N.T. Wright and going back to Brennan Manning.
Yep.
It was always just a question. Okay, so yeah, I think it's about time to get back into a Brennan Manning rhythm.
Interesting.
Get back into a right rhythm, and of course, there's some authors where it's almost like they're stuck on one note.
Right. Yeah.
And, okay. Yeah. You're still you're playing the same tune. There's a difference. There's a big difference. Yeah. This is to have a theme and then to carry it forward. It's like I can compare this to because I'm a big aficionado of soundtrack music.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So you can tell when you're listening to James Horner or when you're listening to Hans Zimmer.
Right.
They're telltale signs, but it's not just a repetition.
Right.
But
instrumentation might be the same. Yeah. The colors that they use are the same.
So I would liken this very much to that as well. Yeah. But again, I think the thing that we're missing is we're still looking at it through translation. And so to be fluent in Spanish,
sure,
and to go back and read would be drinking even more deeply. But so anyway, so maybe you can jump into whatever it is. Did you make your trek up to Monasterio?
I did not, and I think that's an interesting thing with this is where I've been in preparation for the piece, which is now like 6 weeks out, maybe a little less, and the rhythm of reading, and also like just the things that are coming up for me personally.
Right.
These past 2 sessions have actually been harder for me to latch onto than the previous ones.
Gotcha.
The thing that stuck out for me in these 3 chapters is just the idea of fortitude.
Yes. Okay.
And his it's almost like a final union of what has seemed to be the 2 separate halves of the soul, what he describes as like the soul of sense and the soul of spirit, or the sense and the spirit within the soul. And not to spoil the ending, but you get to the end of the 3rd chapter in the 3 that we have for this week, and he's like, so we're going to review the first stanza in light of this deeper idea now that we've combined the 2. And I'm like, wait, what? That's not that. I don't want to go back and do this again. And
new ground. Come on, break some new ground. You can do it.
Well, and it's somewhat comical because we're in the process of releasing like little videos just to lay some groundwork around what Dark Night is about. Yeah. And just some very basic what's the Dark Night of the Soul kind of framing for folks who might not be familiar with it. And the last one that we put out this week was, does the Dark Night only happen once? No, not necessarily. It feels like this cyclical, like the writing. It's this this thing that, depending on one's journey, can happen a multitude of times. Sure. And feels might feel like you're reviewing similar ground and also unearth different things, or like a different sense of what the ground is like for you. But it was comical as I was reading, and it seems like my ability to concentrate on text is not as high as it was even like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Gotcha.
So I'm going through the text. I'm trying to look for like things that I can grab onto,
right.
and nothing's catching.
Yeah.
And then it's like fortitude, combination. We're gonna start again. And I literally looked at that and I was like, oh goodness, and I closed the book and I put it down.
Okay, now I hear you. Well, then maybe I can help.
Sure, yeah, no.
I can help them. Right? Because, I mean, your path is different from mine. I get to read this from, well, it's not an armchair. I mean, I'm literally sitting. We're both sitting in armchairs right now.
Right.
But actually, where most of my reading happens is on an exercise bike.
Oh, fun.
At like 7 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning, typically. I open up the garage, and which I can do this time of year.
Yep.
I open up the garage, and I have, I can see the horizon and green and light and life, and so it's just a good spot. And so I'm pedaling away and reading, and I read it twice. I read the first in the more literal translation, and then I read it again in I think you pronounce her name Mirabai. Is it Marabi or Mirabai? But Star, Starr. And so I read it twice. I also this week, since there were smaller portions, I read one chapter at the beginning of my cycling, and then I picked up the other book I'm reading, which is actually a book about reading the Bible with Dallas Willard, or Dallas Willard. Yeah. And so that's kind of my main read. And so I got it in 3 pieces this week in that kind of setting. But I had the same reaction. It's like, okay, so I was all ready for, ta-da, curtain rising, here we go. Okay, you're still not quite there, and I'm beginning to wonder, are we ever going to get there? Are you in fact taking us on our own little experience of the Dark Night? Because we're looking for the payoff. Right. And we're not getting the payoff that we'd imagine. Right. And so the thing, I'm trying to remember how it was rendered in here. And, Mirabai Starr's rendering is not loose. It's not a paraphrase. It's not by any means like a message version. I like the message, but sometimes it can be hard to tell how the message relates to this text I'm reading in the NIV or even the NLT. Right. And you can see connective tissue, but it can take a while. But it's still, it has a different flow and feel. And this is that first chapter in book 2. Let's see. So let's see. Book the second. Oh, I like book the second. Book the second. She makes paragraph breaks at different places than this one does. So I'll just stick with hers.
Are they still numbered in hers?
No. It's just chapters.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but you don't have the numbers. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because it's 1, 2, and 3. And okay, but the line from chapter 1, and this was the one line that stood out. I mean, it's basically 3 long paragraphs essentially. Yeah. So I'm not disappointed just to have one line. If one line pops in material that is a bit of regurgitation, I count it as a happy thing. Yeah. The soul may spend years cultivating mastery before she is ready to face the impenetrable darkness that leads to union. Okay, that's where she has it. Let's see. I'm trying to find, where's that line here? The soul may spend, because I really wanted to find the parallel, but it jumped in this like it didn't in reading the other one here. Oh, okay. There it is. The soul which God is about to lead onward is not led by his majesty into this night of the spirit as soon as it goes forth from the aridities. And I do like this word arid and aridities, an aridity of spirit. I'm really liking that. And trials of the first purgation, which is another word I'm really appreciating, and night of sense. Rather, it is wont to pass a long time, even years, after leaving the state of beginners and exercising itself in that of proficients. Okay, so the soul must spend even years cultivating mastery before she is ready to face the impenetrable darkness that leads to union. And so it was that long time, and I've actually for a long time been wanting to make a connection. It was a connection I sensed early on, but it just never came up in our conversations. Yeah. And it's like, okay, this is I think the moment at which it makes this connection, and that is in the book Year with Hafiz. It's Daniel Ladinsky's translation, and in his preface. I mean, this is a book I've worked through a couple of times in different years over the past. I don't know how long. I don't know how long ago it was I picked this up, but it's been at least a decade, and he tells the story of Hafiz. And now let me see if I can put my finger on it. I wonder if that is marking the spot. Okay. Now this is in Ludinsky's preface and kind of summary of the history of Hafiz, which I believe is just the name in Arabic for one who has mastered the Quran or memorized the Quran. It's the memorizer.
Hafiz is to remember.
Yeah, there you go. So he's the rememberer.
The rememberer.
Okay. Yeah. So he was in fact a spiritual student, which our word would be disciple. As a young man, he became a disciple of a Sufi teacher who guided him through a difficult spiritual apprenticeship. That whole phrase in itself is like, okay, we're tracking here. Difficult spiritual apprenticeship that lasted most of his adult life.
There you go.
Right? Yep. Later, Hafiz himself became a Sufi master. His Divan, collected poems, is a classic in the literature of Sufism, an ancient spiritual tradition whose special emphasis is intense, often ecstatic, one-pointed devotion to God, which is, okay. So anyway, so that's kind of our lead in. But then he's quoting him. How Hafiz came to be a Sufi student is a famous and popular story told in many versions throughout the East. It is said that when he was 21 and working as a baker's assistant, I'm thinking Trevor at this point. Yeah. Working as a baker's assistant, Hafiz delivered some bread to a mansion and happened to catch a fleeting glimpse of a beautiful girl on the terrace. This one glimpse captured his heart, and he fell madly in love with her, though she did not even notice him. She was from a wealthy, noble family. He was a poor baker's assistant. She was beautiful. He was short and physically unattractive. Situation was hopeless. As months went by, Hafiz made up poems and love songs celebrating her beauty and his longing for her. People heard him singing his poems and began to repeat them. The poems were so touching that they became popular all over Shiraz. It's like he's in the top 10. Mm-hmm. Everybody's playing his stuff. Yeah. It's kind of like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" The Soggy Bottom Boys, right? Yeah. And he has no clue.
Oh, interesting.
You know? He has no clue. So everybody's singing his songs. They're picking up on it. And this is happening. It's like somebody should make a movie of this because I can see it. Hafiz is oblivious of his new fame as a poet. He thought only of his beloved. Yeah. Desperate to win her, he undertook an arduous spiritual discipline that required him to keep a vigil at the tomb of a certain saint all night long for 40 nights. It was said that anyone who could accomplish this near impossible austerity would be granted his heart's desire. Every day Hafiz went to work at the bakery. Every night he went to the saint's tomb and willed himself to stay awake for the love of this girl. His love was so strong that he succeeded in completing this vigil. So it's kind of like, take that, Jacob, right? 7 years, okay, 40 nights at a tomb. I willed myself to do it. At daybreak on the 40th day, the archangel Gabriel appeared before Hafiz and told him to ask for whatever he wished. Hafiz had never seen such a glorious, radiant being as Gabriel. He found himself thinking, if God's messenger is so beautiful, how much more beautiful must God be?
Yeah.
Gazing on the unimaginable splendor of God's angel, Hafiz forgot all about the girl, his wish, everything. He said, I want God.
Yeah.
Now to me, that encapsulates the night of the purgation of the senses.
Yeah.
It's got a goal. I'm doing it for a payoff.
Yeah, sure.
It's like Robin Williams, the genie. What's my wish? I don't even need 3, just one.
Yeah.
I want her to see me and fall in love. Well, of course, genie can't make you fall in love, but at least let her see me, right? This is my wish. But to be exposed to the beauty of God in the radiance of God's messenger, that's all gone. And it's like the senses and the soul exit. And
they're overwhelmed.
Yeah, so the X is not the right word. But yeah, they are overwhelmed. Yes, they are overwhelmed by this vision which captures him. And it's like his spirit is then set on a new journey. And this is the beginning.
Well, and I think that's where St. John of the Cross is talking, right? It's like you go through the aridity, and then in some way the senses and the spirit are unified so that the spirit then takes over.
Yes.
Or is the primary motivation or primary driver of the soul. And then it's available for whatever formation is going to happen in the dark night.
Correct.
Because if it's secondary to the senses, the senses take everything. Right. And you're still drawn by whatever they're going to pull you.
It's almost like a filter gets clogged with all of the experiential payoff.
Sure.
And so therefore, it's like a sieve that's no longer functioning. It's just so, it's got such a layer on it.
Yeah, it's full.
But the beautiful thing about this is, again, this is where he starts. Right. This is where he starts. Yeah. This is a lifelong, years-long pursuit. Yeah. Right. And that's where, the next, so there's one more part of it here. Because Gabriel directed him, Hafiz, to a spiritual teacher who lived in Shiraz. The angel told Hafiz to serve this teacher in every way, and his wish would be fulfilled. I want God, right? That's the wish now. Yeah. Hafiz hurried to meet his teacher, and they began their work together that very day. Now, that's the end of section 1 here, spiritual student. Now it's Hafiz and his teacher, and this has a glorious little Ladinsky paraphrase of Hafiz. Our partner is notoriously difficult to follow.
Our partner?
Our partner, with a capital P.
Oh, interesting.
Our partner is notoriously difficult to follow. And even his, capital H, best musicians are not always easy to hear. All right.
That's striking.
Yeah, it is.
So there is So as I've been reading Dark Night of the Soul, I've also been listening to it. And so
cool.
I've got different parts of the book kind of spinning around as I'm trying to drill into small parts or more focused reading. And there's somewhere, because the audiobook does not have the best chapter marcations, so somewhere in the Piers translation is this idea that God's hand is light and soft, even though it feels heavy. And that, like, there's a sense that whatever God does is of the kindest, most loving nature. Even though, to us it might seem blinding, harsh, heavy, very heavy, requiring of fortitude, to deal with the suffering that we go through, and so that kind of statement where the journey is difficult, or it's going to be hard on us to go through this kind of thing, I think I end up bouncing back and forth to trying to identify for myself what the hardness is.
Yeah.
So that my conception of God remains what I think is true, which is like the pearl of great price, or the field where the treasure is, and like the most wonderful and beautiful and kind of overwhelming and captivating relationship of love that there is. And I think there's a big danger, especially if the night of the sense hasn't been gone through necessarily, to get tired.
Yes.
With all the hardness of it.
Right.
And to be blinded from the reality of who God is in the midst of the darkness.
Right.
And I think all that is true, and you experience that, and you might express it, and then you walk to the other side and remember.
Yeah.
But I think it ends up being a potential off-ramp.
Yes.
Which we've
yes.
talked about before, to be like, it's just hard.
Yeah.
And God is hard, and the whole thing is hard. And so that means life will always be hard. And I feel like that as a disposition undermines hope in a way.
Right.
To the detriment of the person.
Right. Well, somehow it's moving from take up your cross daily and follow me, which is a very foreboding image. To us, no big deal. Crosses, I love the cross. I wear it around my neck. It's, in that culture, ignominious, painful, torturous death and shame, and there's a disgraceful burial. Well, you're not buried; you're just thrown into the heap of dead bodies and consumed by beasts. So there's nothing attractive. That's just a hard word you can't get around. But somehow that being combined with "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, let's take my yoke upon you, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy,
and my burden is light.
And my burden is light. So somehow it's reconciling those two, because it feels like, wait, this is a bait and switch. You tell us it's an easy yoke, and the yoke's in the shape of a cross. What? And so I listened to Bonhoeffer, when God calls a man, he bids him come and die. And I'm going to say that like Schwarzenegger or something. When God calls a man, he bids him come and die. And it's like, well, let's have that as our invitation on Sunday morning. We'll open the altar. Who wants to come die? And
well, I wonder if the question is not who wants to come die, but who wants something to die within them.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Right? That is like it. That is
what is the part of you that you don't want to have to deal with anymore? That would actually make your life easier if it weren't a part of you. And that's what you wrestle with. That's what you have to kind of. Well,
I'm struck in this story because the thing that dies in Hafiz, in this initial, in his calling, the thing that dies in him, I said I'd love to see this as a movie, because I could see it. But the movie would flop if it followed the story, because the way this is supposed to be is something like, oh gosh, I'm sorry, the name it's out of my head. Guy with a long nose, Sirio de Bergerac, right?
Pinocchio?
No. It's a guy with a long nose who is very poetic, and he's trying to get the girl. I remember he was played by Steve Martin. Okay.
Oh, the jerk.
No. Sirio de Bergerac, I think, is the character's name.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. And that probably.
I thought that was the author.
But it should be, because here's the short, unattractive, the short, ugly guy, the beautiful girl. Yeah. This is like beautiful woman, Julia Roberts. Only it's not Richard Gere.
Right.
It's like I don't know. Think of somebody short and ugly who acts. I don't know, but you've got someone. Okay, you've got Adam Sandler. Okay, he's not short and ugly.
Steve Buscemi.
It's not a Richard Gere. Who?
Steve Buscemi.
Oh my.
would be like, well, he's like the quintessential anti-leading man, right?
I just finished watching The Studio, and Buscemi is oh my gosh.
I hate to throw him under the bus, but like.
But see how this is supposed to work is he's here writing these songs, singing these songs, people are hearing it and they're picking it up and it's spreading throughout the town, throughout Shiraz. And the way this is supposed to go then is that you have the songs coming to the attention of the girl, right, and it wins his heart, and there's this encounter. It's not Gabriel at the tomb, but it's her.
Yep.
And that's how Hollywood would write the story. Mm-hmm. But here it's like the angel Gabriel comes and it's like, forget the girl. Who? Yeah. Who? I want God. Yeah. And so there's something there that died that I don't think he even realized he needed to have die.
Yeah.
But and it does. And it's not like he has to will it to die. It just does. Mm-hmm. And again, this is the first step in. Yeah. And the word that's standing out to you, fortitude. Yeah. I'm hearing Peter saying, 2 Peter 1, his divine power has given us everything we need for life and godliness through our experiential encounter, our knowledge of him, who has called us by his own glory and virtue. Through these, he's given us his very great and precious promises, that by them we may become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped from the corruption that's in the world caused by evil desires, which is such a mouthful. And then he pauses and says, and therefore give all diligence. Yeah. Have fortitude. Mm-hmm. Because this is just the start. Right. And so therefore, make every effort, give all diligence, employ fortitude to add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, to knowledge self-control, and so forth. And he goes through the 8 virtues there. And so he's pointed to a teacher. The teacher is Muhammad Attar. Attar signifies a chemist or perfumer, which is interesting. It's believed that Muhammad Attar owned a shop in Shiraz and lived a very ordinary public life. Every line of this story, I appreciate so. His only small circle of students knew him as a spiritual teacher. Hafiz visited Attar nearly every day for years. They sat together, sometimes dined together, sometimes talked, sometimes sang, sometimes went for quiet walks in the beautiful rose gardens of Shiraz. Attar opened Hafiz's vision to fresh, ever deeper perceptions of the beauty and harmony of life, and a much broader understanding of all the processes of love. It was natural for Hafiz to express these insights in the language of poetry. Muhammad Attar was also a poet, and he encouraged Hafiz in that direction. For many years, Hafiz created a poem a day for his teacher. Attar told his students to collect and study these poems, for they illustrated many of the central principles of spiritual unfolding. However, the relationship between Hafiz and his teacher was not always an easy one. In many accounts, Muhammad Attar is presented as a stern and demanding figure who sometimes appeared to show no compassion at all for Hafiz. Modern spiritual figures, notably Avatar Meher Baba, have used the example of Hafiz and Attar to illustrate how challenging and difficult it can be to serve an authentic spiritual teacher. In his discourses on the role of master, Meher Baba explains that regardless of external appearances, a teacher must always aid internal processes of growth that support increasingly broader designs of love. Along the way, the student's limited ego is dissolved. This is Dark Night of the Soul. Yeah. That's his territory here. Or as Hafiz says, ground to dust. Which does not sound like he was in a good, happy moment. Well, it's got to be ground to dust. Meher Baba described this process as hell on earth for Hafiz. He said Hafiz, so to speak, broke his head at the feet of his master, day after day, year after year, for 40 long years. And so one day, when Hafiz was well over 60, he confronted his aged teacher and said, "Look at me, I'm old. My wife and my son are long dead. What have I gained by being your obedient disciple for all these years?" Attar gently replied, "Be patient, and one day you will know." Hafiz shouted, "I knew I would get that answer from you." In a fever of spiritual desperation, he began another form of 40-day vigil. This time he drew a circle on the ground and sat within it for 40 days and nights without leaving it for food, drink, or even to relieve himself. Okay, that's not the kind of retreat most of us are interested in signing up for.
Goodness.
On the 40th day, the angel again appeared to him and asked what he desired. Hafiz discovered that during the 40 days, all his desires had disappeared. Mm-hmm. This is purgation, purgation of the soul. He replied instantly that his only wish was to serve his teacher. Just before dawn, Hafiz came out of the circle and went to his teacher's house. Attar was waiting at the door. They embraced warmly, and Attar gave Hafiz a special cup of aged wine. As they drank together, the intoxicating joy of the wine opened his heart and dissolved every trace of separateness. With a great laugh of delight, Hafiz was forever drowned in love and united with God, his divine beloved. So it's a different path, but it's the same journey. The points of resonance, and it's like none of this fits anything like what I have experienced in all of my years in assorted shades of evangelical culture.
Right. Yeah.
None of it fits anywhere. And honestly, I mean, I'm reading this, and it's like, I mean, you can hear this, and whoever listened to this can hear this, and it's like, this has got to scandalize somebody. I mean, just the fact you've got so many Mohammeds and Attar and Meher Babas, it's like, this, what? New Age, Arabic, mystic, Persian, and it's like Eastern mysticism, and what it would hearken closest to would be the realm of Catholic mystics, which brings us to St. John of the Cross, it brings us to Teresa of Avila, brings us to St. Francis, which again can be equally, maybe not equally offensive. They're at least kind of on our side of the fence, and so we can kind of appreciate them in evangelical culture, but we still hold them suspect, because none of this matches with these experiences. And yet this is the Gospels. It's not explicitly there.
Well,
but it's there.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like the mystics are exceptionally attractive for folks for whom, at least in my own personal experience, like I'm not very attracted to a lot of structure. I had a dad who was an artist. He lived a very creative life. He was very kind of, there's structure and form for him, but it was in his being and not in like a rule of life that was expressed and taught and reviewed, and then, very different than I have other friends who've literally written out their rule of life, and it's like, this is, and I review it every 6 months, and so I had a very, what felt like a very free and open structure growing up. And then you enter into communities in which there's not just structure, there's like a sense of, for lack of a better word, there's a tribal ethic that, like, this is how we know we're part of the same community. We do all these things the same way. We have similar language around the same things. And so, but in that kind of community, for me, whether it was the church or the tap dance world or like a dance school or public school, which were all in a way fundamentally different than my family life. That kind of way of relating seems to shortcut like personal knowledge and personal interaction. And I think if you send that like one level up or down, depending on how you're thinking about it, to my ability to personally interact with Christ or God, then the structure short circuits the ability to quote, be a mystic. And so the mystics become really, really attractive. It's like, I didn't know we could think that way about this, or engage in this way in this area of my life. And there's a dynamism there that I think we miss out on if we don't know it's available. I also think, like, there's some folks for whom that's not something they would enjoy necessarily. Right. So it's like, okay, and this is where, like, the individual journey becomes really special and really important. But I think there's a wonderful concreteness to the incarnation and to the idea that Christ is who he is.
Yes.
That if I spend too much time reading the mystics,
right,
like, that ends up going away.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the key thing, that, and I think that is, whether it's a pitfall, danger, temptation, however you want to phrase it, mysticism is a detachment, and monastery,
from physical
you're
reality.
Getting away. Yeah. And I think, that's where it goes back to a group on Sunday talking about Dallas Willard. Yeah. His approach to Scripture was the reverence of a Southern Baptist. Yeah. That was so funny watching people's reaction. Ooh, whoa!
Like, not that name.
No, not that. Okay.
Meanwhile, I have a license to preach from the Southern Baptist.
Oh my gosh! The reverence of the Southern Baptist, the mind of a philosopher. Yep. In the imagination of a mystic.
Yep.
And I think that's where the balance is, because if you just go off into mysticism and it's like one-legged stool,
sure,
or a unicycle, not too many of us can do. I mean, I don't know. I think I did try a unicycle once, and it was a short experiment.
It's hard.
I can do a tricycle. I can still do a tricycle pretty well. Just don't take turns sharp. But the tricycle approach, where we've got the reverence. The reverence of the Southern Baptist, the mind of the philosopher, and then the imagination of the mystic. It's like the three together ground us incarnationally. Yeah. And I would say that would be true healthy mysticism. Mysticism being defined as simply someone who believes I can actually encounter God.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And guess what? Guess where we're going to encounter God? You don't have to escape into the third realm of heaven or something to encounter Him.
No, it's right here.
You encounter God right here, all along the path. So looking at Hafiz, and again, this is the juxtaposition or the convergence of things, because. This longer meditation in Dark Night of the Soul with St. John of the Cross, and the other books that have just happened in. It's not like I put a curriculum together, and okay, I'm going to read this book now. Because this will feed into this all very intentionally. No, it's that I see Amazon. Oh my gosh, it's just Amazon seeing my likes. It's the oh gosh, what do they call that?
The algorithm.
The algorithm. Yeah. Totally, the algorithm did it. It put the title to Willard's book, which would be the latest point of convergence, and I'm reading this, and it's talking. You have the threefold description of Dallas Willard and his approach to Scripture, and then you have a summation in Willard's own words of what he sought to accomplish as he interacted with Scripture. And there's, I want to move from communication to communion to union.
Yep. Yeah.
And I have probably encountered that paragraph before. I've probably seen those words before. But in this context of going through Dark Night of the Soul, and the convergence of other things, and looking at Hafiz and all of this, that's all in the world we're talking about. I mean, that's all we're talking about. Yeah, just moving from communication where, it's good. We're communicating.
Yep.
but the exchange of ideas, as rich as that is, that's still going to be a shallow level.
Yeah. Well, it's fundamentally transactional.
Yeah, exactly. It's a give and take.
Right.
Now, you and I are gaining from this something that those just listening to this cannot. They're like an even more detached level of informational download. But the fact is, and also what makes this rich, of course, is the fact that we've taken walks.
Yeah.
And then I've also come over and sat around a table of grief with you. And then
we have a relationship.
Exactly,
right?
right.
We have interacted with one another.
I think we've moved to at least the edges of communion level, which enriches the communication level. So, but this level of union with the divine, and that takes us back to Peter's text again.
Yeah,
give all diligence to add your faith virtue, to virtue knowledge, to knowledge self-control, self-control perseverance, perseverance godliness, godliness brotherly kindness love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measure, they will make you so that you'll be neither barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge. And I really don't like that word knowledge, at least not without
interactive relationship.
Yeah, interactive, yes. Yeah, gnosko, it's experiential encounter. And so through our experiential encounter with God. And so that to me, now go back to where we started with this. This could take a long time.
Yeah.
And years. And what I really appreciate about Hafiz, it's like, I don't know if this all really happened. I mean, how much is just stories that have been told and retold, which is exactly what people think about our stories, about Jesus, how much this really happened. But I read this and it resonates as true because I see the points of convergence with the spirituality that I see present in what Jesus is offering, that I see Paul celebrating. As I heard, I've been listening to a couple of different talks by Tim Mackey, and, that's got to make me okay. I figure somebody who's listening to this and says, gosh, Hafiz, Muhammad Attar, but he listens to Tim Mackey, so he's going to be okay. Dallas Willard, Tim Mackey, and Hafiz. There we are. But Mackey was talking about in a sermon called "Paradise Now," how that when Paul says, and he talks about the Father who is above all and through all and in you all, and he said that's not just Pauline poetic flair.
Right.
It's actually how he relates to reality.
Yeah.
And that is of a piece with Hafiz's view. That is of a piece with what I believe is at the heart of what's driving St. John of the Cross, is where we finally are coming to see the interconnectedness and experience that. And it can sound very elitist and almost detached, and that's my fear in all of this is this is how I can sound so much better than all, and I can grab that pipe over there that I never smoked. It was just given to me. It was an ordination present, but I would get sick if I ever tried to actually smoke a pipe. I could get that pipe and I could look and sound profound, that you must experience this to reach this level of, and it's like, it's just oh my gosh,
I think there's at least for the journey that I seem to be in with this stuff, is that the more you encounter any kind of dark night, the more there's like a reminder of the pain and grief that exists from the process.
Yeah.
And I think that hopefully, I don't know, is a seed for compassion for others.
Right.
Rather than a seed for like any kind of pride.
Right, exactly.
Or self-aggrandizement. Like,
if you've really gone through the dark night, then you have a purgation of soul. I mean, this is Paul, because the abundance of revelations that was given to me.
Yep.
And I think it's a fairly lame, weak translation to say thorn in the flesh, because that sounds like an irritant.
Yeah, no.
But it's more like a stake. It's like I have been impaled, people. Mm-hmm. I've been impaled.
Yeah.
It's like some of these, it's like ER or St. Elsewhere. Okay, I'm reaching back for really old medical shows. I'm sure there are more current ones.
You walk into the emergency room with like...
I've never watched Grey's Anatomy. I haven't done that. But I have watched some others. The Resident. Okay, that's a current one. Relatively current one. But yeah, it's like one of these patients coming into the ER and there's like a huge spike sticking.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we extract this?
Yep.
That's what Paul's talking about. I mean, impaled by a spike.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, okay, God, I'm on the gurney.
Yeah.
Remove, please. And he's met with silence. That's dark night.
Yeah.
That's purgation of soul. And he goes 3 times, I asked. And then finally the answer comes, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness, which is such a beautiful dark night of the soul answer. And like Paul, it's like it clicks. And it's like, There's this wonderful Hebrew word that I encountered in the text of Jonah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned it last week or not, but there's this word ach.
No.
Okay. So this word ach, it's where he's in the belly of the fish and he says, I have been cut off from the land of the living. Ach, I shall yet see your face in the holy sanctuary. And so it's this word, it has this affirmative, like, yes, but also contrastive. It's kind of like so it's this pivot word. It's like, here I am in the fish, and I'm never going to get out of here alive. Wait a minute. It's that kind of thing. Okay. Wait a minute. This isn't the end.
I mean, like in Arabic, somebody would say, rasi. It was like, ouch, my head. Like, it literally means
it's not
like
exactly
my head hurts.
It's not exact. Yeah, it's more like German.
That's like,
it's more like German. Ach so.
Oh, got it. Okay.
It's more like that. Yeah, because it's just Aleph, Kaf, Ach.
Yeah.
Ach. And so it is more like a discovery as opposed to ow. Right. That'd be more like oi.
Right.
But this isn't oi. This is like ach. And so there's this pivot. It's where all of a sudden you realize, and that's where I think Paul was, that I've been impaled. Oh my gosh, but this is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not that I've become masochistic.
Right.
It's just I understand now. And the only way I can relate to that, I mean, it's St. Francis saying, the wounds of Christ, the wounds of Christ, the wounds of Christ. He's so identifying and longing to identify with Christ on the cross that, again, as the story goes, he suddenly gets the stigmata. He gets the wounds. Paul says, I bear in my body the stigmata, the marks of Jesus. Yeah. Francis says, I have them. He's got the piercings in both hands and in feet and inside. And so I've got the stigmata. And it's the closest I come to that would be, because one of my significant dark night seasons, I would trace to cancer, 12 rounds of chemo, and its aftermath. Which I'm still in the aftermath of it, and I carry that because I mean right now, I feel pinched fingers and numb feet, so the pain is there. Yeah, it's constant pain, which is there. And I've learned not to focus on it, but when as it ebbs and flows, because sometimes it becomes like a thick band around my head, and it can be like a band around each arm, around each wrist, and it's like, whoa, that's kind of like stigmata almost. I mean, and to me, okay, I can relate to this on that level because this is a reminder to me I passed through something. Yep. Because I tell you, right now I feel like. I'm not in a mountain retreat someplace. I'm living in, because we moved July of last year. We moved into a house that's not more secluded, but in fact is more crowded. Right. Yeah. As I've got my two younger daughters, son-in-law, 2 young kids. I got a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old. My wife and I are upstairs, but we are walking into the midst of this, and I have never felt a deeper, contented, blessed union with the divine, immersed in the very physical. and it's like, and I've got the pain. And that's why I stopped a long time ago asking for people to pray for the removal of the pain, because it's like, no. It's like I need the pain to be here, because I need to understand that I would not have this level of appreciation. If I had not gone through purgation of soul, I would not have this level of appreciation. Is suddenly turning a corner and finding an oasis of spirit opened up in the most cacophonous and crowded environment of screaming toddlers. And to hear screaming toddlers and delight in the screams as much as I do in the giggles. And so that's the basis on which, I can say Dark Night of the Soul. If you take that and this is an elitism thing, no. Okay, just please get off you're like one of the followers saying, I'll follow you wherever you go. No, please go away.
Right.
Just go.
Well, I mean, St. John of the Cross talks about like the soul that has let go of, what is it? It's like fearful reverence or something like that. It's like once you forget that God's the one who's guiding you through this and doing this to you, there's a sense of like, no, I'm in control of it and I'm going to do this. And then there's the output of that, which is I did this, and this is something under my own strength that I've done, which goes back to Paul saying, we do these things so that none of us can boast. Right. There isn't the potential because we haven't done it. And I think one of the things that is like I've tried to work out for this piece in particular is at least honoring the choice to endure. Yeah. That because there are ways to short circuit it and to like not turn our own attention towards what's happening or who God is, or not even what he's doing, but just our state. Yeah. And working or doing what we can in the state that we're in to remain for the time required for whatever God is going to do with us in that state. Yeah. And I think that's, again, there's this, it's like a line where you can, it's like, you chose to endure, you didn't. Okay, everybody who chose to endure on the right side, everybody who didn't on the left, and you're like, no, that's not what we're saying here. But there's, I feel like there's so many people who have not considered the amount of darkness that they've had to endure. Yeah. And like even just someone like a third party considering that and saying, yes, hey, I see that this yes is what you've gone through, can take a weight off. Yes. And yes, with the weight off, what happens to their person? Like, right, okay, you don't need that much energy to carry that weight over the course of a day because it's right not there anymore. Right. So where does all that effort go? Right? Is that now shifted to a reflection of the joys that you can experience, of the needs that the world has around you that you can now see? Yeah. I think it's, and I think that's the intention there, is to just say, if you've chosen to endure and nobody else has seen it, yeah, like God does. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And the endurance is, the choice to endure is not in vain until it becomes vain. Mm. Right? Until it becomes the requirement that you have, that other people see that you have endured for you to be able to accept them. You just ruined the whole thing as a person. Yeah. But I think up until that point, the choice to endure is honorable. Yes. And it has it's an honoring of it's like a free will offering, almost.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that's, if a man loses his life, it's like if they choose to be willing to do that, then you can find something that's dramatically different on the other side.
Right. Well, and I think that's a point of recognition that recurs repeatedly in those 7 letters to the churches of Asia. You have endured. Mm-hmm. You have borne my name.
Yep.
And therefore, this is what we're gonna meet in the garden.
Yeah. And there is reward. For it. It's like,
I have seen so often. I have sat down. We have this room off the office lobby we call the fishbowl, and we have walk-ins, people in various stages of spiritual undress and distress and duress, and we'll sit down in the fishbowl, and I don't know how many times where, as they're pouring their guts out, bearing their soul, and usually feeling such a yawning chasm between themselves and God.
Yeah.
And yet you're listening. I'm listening, right? And all I can do is tell them, I think you have no idea how much God is all over this and all over you. And I sometimes will hear, I don't even know how to pray, and it's like, do you understand that this entire moment we have, this is some of the best praying that I have been exposed to?
Yeah.
It's like Jesus, nowhere in Israel have I found such faith. And it's just, it makes me think of the story Jesus told. You have the religiously accomplished Pharisee who's probably gone through the Dark Night of the Soul seminar, and he's got that on his list of achievements. And then you've got the guy at the back of the room, who, he's a tax collector, which means he's successful on one level but a failure on every other, and he's carrying this immense heavy load, and so Jesus says he's mourning. He's beating his chest, and so that's the position of somebody at a funeral. So he's mourning at the back. He will not even lift up his head, and so he's just mourning back there, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Yeah. And I think that's how he goes home. So I'm thinking the Pharisee goes home thinking he's justified. The tax collector goes home feeling just as miserable and distraught, more than likely.
Well, he's born his soul, he's opened himself up.
And so the point is,
I think that's he
has no idea. And that was just triggered by you're saying the spiritual, would that be a correct way of characterizing the spiritual virtue? In endurance, and people don't even realize they're doing it. Yeah. You have endured
100%.
It's like, this is what God sees. God sees this, and God is drawn to this, and that is what I'm taking from that story of Jesus, is that there's a parade of virtues that he says, oh gosh, please, gag. But now this guy back here, it's like the widow with her 2 leptons, dropping them in there. God is drawn to this that nobody else can see, and that this person probably has no inkling that this is significant.
Well, I think there's a big reality of tunnel vision that happens, right? Particularly in experiences of deep grief, pain, spiritual blindness, where and I'm encouraged in this kind of recurring theme with St. John of the Cross, where he's like, the soul feels like they can't do anything for God and have no strength, and yet that's the moment of approach.
Yes.
That's the state. That's the rightful state.
Blessed are the poor in spirit.
All right.
Yes.
And so in the moments, you know, in the physical world, that can be wrapped up with, you know, actual things that need to happen for the sake of work or for the sake of responsibilities to a family. And so there's things at risk, literally. And then on, like, undergirding that is this journey of the person that, like, is in some ways more important or more sacred than some of the other things that we hold up as valuable. And it's a very interesting, I don't know. The thing that I'm carrying is, like, you know, this event is coming up. And there's still a lot to be done. And the amount of energy that I have, like, literally seems to be going down. It doesn't seem to be going up. Right. And there's been a lot of, and I find myself reaching for the things that I would have reached for in the past for security, right? Namely, my dad. It was like, even if he wasn't in the position of being a producer, which he had been for a time, was still ever present. And so I could walk into, like, the dining room in our house and kind of dump all the things. And leave. And, like, I didn't need answers. Just needed presence. And with him not here, and there isn't that kind of, like, physical relationship with other people in the same way necessarily, but it feels very much like, okay, well, who are you going to commune with now? Right. And it is a dry and very like a challenging place to be on one side, and then on the other side it's like, but you look at the run and, like, the ramp up to this moment, and you say, okay, no, I'm definitely in the right place. So as much as this feels like a hard thing, this is the right thing. And then,
well, you think about it, Andrew. I mean, what were you thinking when you said, I'm going to do a Dark Knight thing? Because you're signing up for because the fact is, would it not be just a little bit incongruous to come into this where, all right, guys, I'm ready. Let's party.
100%.
You know? Whoa, I'm jazzed. You know, it's okay. I don't know if you're in the play. You're not in the zone, man.
I'm a tap dancer. I'm not a method actor. Like, I was trying to bring it in, like, from the side, not head on.
Full on.
But you're right, and I think that's one of the things that I hope for in making a piece like this, or making any piece that is related to something like this, is that you offer to take on this idea for the sake of resonance with somebody else, so that they can more freely process. And don't have to deal with the weight and the processing. It's like, I'll take that for a time, and then you can write, you can journal, you can think, like, whatever it is that comes up for you, do that. And that way, you know, when this time is done, at least you have a memory of that kind of experience where somebody can bear that burden for you. And I wonder if that's not something that we can just do for each other, like, anyway. You know, you don't have to put on a 12-hour show for it.
Well, you're right. You're making something accessible. Others can tap into this. That is the whole point of this experience. It's
100%.
No, that's good. Well,
Until next time.
Until next time, we'll pick up. I'm going to continue. I had a lot of things highlighted from like the next chapter, but
cool.
that long time, even years, that just caught me as like,
yeah.
And that took me to Hafiz. I didn't know it was going to take that much time, but it's like, anyway.
No, it's
so
good.
we'll pick up. We'll pick up next time.
Plenty more to go.
Yep.
Production of the Nema Institute. Our theme music is Principle of Loving by Sam Adams. Please subscribe to the podcast and go to darknightlive.com for more details and to follow Andrew's journey. Thank you for listening.